Paintball nerd.
Today's guest on Paintball Nerds Fun 5 has been playing paintball since 2002. He went pro in 2015 with Tampa Bay Damage. In 2020, he joined the ML Kings. And since 2010, he's been working on the DPL, the Developmental Paintball League. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Kyle Berry.
Hey, Zay, pleasure to have me on, dude. I'm super pumped to be here because I'm 100% a paintball nerd and absolutely love it. Thank you for the intro, man. Pleasure to see you.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Happy to have you on the show. So tell me a little bit about the first time you played paintball back in 2002.
Oh, man, I hope this helps out a lot of players that are starting off because I was so bad. I was probably the worst paintball player you've ever seen, into the fact of 2002, I'm riding a metal sled behind a four-wheeler, causing havoc in the middle of summer, sparks spitting out. And I had a neighbor that came over and he was like, "Kids, you're going to hurt yourself. What are you doing?" And I was just like, "Oh, trying to have some fun." They're like, "Okay, you want to have fun? Let's have fun with paintball." So they had 4 paintball guns. They had it was the father, and he had 2 young, sons that were probably right around 14, 15 years old. And at this time, I'm 8 years old. So they hand me one of these guns. And they're like, "Yeah, we're going to just go out into this open woods in upstate New York. And the only rule is that if you get within 10 feet of each other, you got to surrender them. And if the person doesn't surrender and shoots back or runs away, you can shoot them." Okay, right?
All right.
I go out there and I'm crawling through the woods. At this point, I'm 8 years old, but I'm about 200 pounds. So I'm wider than I am tall, right? So
what happened? How'd you get to where you're at? We'll get to that later.
Paintball. That's all paintball, baby. I got to get skinny to not get shot, right? So
there you go.
I go out there, I'm messing around, I'm hiding behind a tree, I'm sweating, I'm fogging, I don't know what's going on. And then all I hear is "surrender" and the barrel on my back. And I had no idea how much it was going to hurt. So I run away like an Oompa Loompa, just running away from this guy. And he pieces me up from butt crack to the back of the head. And I was bloody. I was crying. They had to carry me off the field. I was absolutely hating it, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, your dad's going to be upset." And I was like, no, don't say nothing. I'm going to get him to buy some of these. I love this. And for some reason, I have no idea why, but I went home and I was like, "Dad, we got to pick these up. You got to check out paintball." And he was always an ex-military guy and stuff like that. And he's like, "You got to check out paintball. You'll absolutely love it." So he goes out and gets me a Blade Z2, a little pump gun with the CO2 capsules in the back. And that was the start of it all.
Holy cow, dude. What an amazing story. So it started, you just trial by fire.
100%. That's been the whole career, honestly. Just trial by fire from get to go.
Dude, so there's been a lot of work, right, that's been put in from 2002 to go pro in 2015. And we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that on what it takes to get to that level. But let's talk about some memories in paintball, because I'm sure throughout your pro career, you've experienced quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially in the divisional buildup, right? Because, I came from the Northeast, right? So there was no professional team up there when I started playing, right? The New York Extreme guys didn't exist as a pro team at that point. And the original New York Extreme folded back in 2004, 2005, I want to say. So right before I actually came into the game. So it was very odd. I was bouncing around and I can have these amazing memories. The first few years with my dad. My dad really supported me until I shot him in the back of the head when we were playing against each other. And then he didn't want to help me out anymore. But he really supported me in the beginning, and he was there for me. He brought me to the Buffalo MPPL, Boston MPPL, which really gave me this grand picture of what paintball was, and I fell in love with the big scene of it. And I have huge memories of seeing cheerleaders at the Buffalo MPPL event, and seeing the Balls tent and the Angels tent. Remember all those very, very clearly. And then it comes into playing with the New Jersey Jesters, right? So the Northeast just didn't have the competition that we wanted. The only place we could really play during the winter was an indoor place called Head Rush, which I already broke 2 ribs from that place. So I was a little wary of going back. Oh, it was carpet this thick. This thick on concrete. And, I'm playing with people like Harris Hussein, who's looking at me and was like, "Kid, I don't care if you're fat, dive in the snake. You can get it. I'm not going in there." You know what I mean? So yeah, it definitely was just not knowing how to dive, horrible ground structuring, and giving it 110% will break a rib. But the memories from the Jesters are very vivid, probably because they slapped the memories into me throughout the process, because I don't know if you know anything about the Jesters, but they're very
I do.
very rugged, right? It's a good word for it, rugged and extreme. So I was 14, 15 when I played with the Jesters. They called me Kyle D4 for life Barry, because when I got onto the Jesters, I didn't have any APBA points, but I've been playing the XBL for 2 years, so I was pretty good. And they were just like, "Oh, kid, you can play D2, but you have no points, so you're playing D5, D4." You know what I
Yeah,
mean? The lowest division
sandbag.
I could. Exactly, exactly. So, and it was a good thing because I learned a little bit of how to win. I didn't learn that in the XBL, and so I have a bunch of
Yeah.
memories there, and real good memories of just camaraderie and coming together and being there for each other through the thick and thin, because there was a lot of thick with the Jesters. And then it really hones into Harris and Arslan Hussein, the New York Extreme guys now that exist on their Pat Craft and all those guys coming together with that team as New York Outlaws. Huge memories there. And then everything kind of fell apart for me in upstate New York from the '08 crash, and my family relocated down to Florida. And I had the lucky opportunity of coming down here and trying to get an Ironman spot, which never worked out, but it led to a Damage spot. So yeah, immense amount of memories. And the funny thing is, not many of them winning, not many of them of high podiums and things of that nature. It's all really just camaraderie and fun, and just the amount of people and the experiences that you get, and just different than everyday life in paintball. So yeah, millions
Ain't
of
that the
experiences, man.
case? Man, that seems
Yeah.
to be the case for a lot of players. It's not about the necessarily the podium finishes, but the memories that you create. So just speak to one, or maybe give me a couple, because you're a great storyteller.
No,
Speak to a
thanks.
memory that really sticks out for you.
It's funny because when you say that, it's not a memory of me playing. It's not a memory of anything to do with me. It's a memory of me coaching my first kid, right? So I
Hmm.
had this little kid, a little kid named Benny. He was like one of those 8, 9-year-old kids who, he still had a high voice, but his testicles definitely had already dropped because he was just running around like a madman, shooting people, doing ever what he wanted. But I ran I ran the paintball portion of an extreme camp. So there was high ropes, kayaking, airsoft, archery, and then paintball was a section, and you had to play every section. Even like 8-year-old little girls, I had to make them play paintball. So this kid comes down, and this is right when I'm starting to fight for a pro spot. I'm playing semi-pro with New York Outlaws at that time. I want to play pro. I'm grinding. I'm training kids, and then I'm practicing in between training kids nonstop all day long for like 185 days. And this kid comes, and he's just really lippy, and he's really loud, and all the other counselors are having problems with him. And I sat him down, and through paintball, I got him to find a level of self-confidence and a level of comfortability in himself. Two, by the end of the year, he's the kid that's actually helping people out. I had his parents come up to me and said that I've changed him immensely. And I'm 19 years old, so I had no idea what I was doing. I was just trying to be there for the kid and show him how to play paintball. I wanted him to play paintball. And what paintball did for his understanding of communication, his understanding of being an adult, and understand of really being in the situation where there's high pressure, and that you had to understand the pressure and be comfortable with the pressure and still try to strive for success, um, gave me this weird motivation and this energy that I still carry today. And I literally pushes me throughout life of like, paintball is the sport that could change the world, right? That could bring young
Yeah.
kids up in the best way.
Well, there's an old saying: if you change one person's perspective on the world, you change the world itself.
Hmm.
And it sounds like that's exactly what you did for young Benny there. Benny,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Ben.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Benny, man. I hope he's
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah, me too, man. I don't know if he's still in paintball. I have a lot of kids that I trained from back in the day that are playing still. He went a little ghost on me, which is probably best because the less kids on social media, probably the better. But
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah, he's a nasty little baller. Hopefully he's still playing. But those are the memories that really stick. Now, as I get older, I'll be 29 at the end of this month. It's funny, like there's a lot of the coaching memories that really stick in the back of my head.
Yeah. Well, how about on the field as a pro? Any particular
Mm.
memories that stick out for you?
Yeah, this one probably won't leave me forever. We're playing Revo. It's Sunday. It's our fourth Sunday with ML Kings. Our fourth Sunday with ML Kings. We're playing Revo at World Cup, this last World Cup. I'm sorry. It wasn't World Cup. It was the event prior. And we're losing. We're down by 3. There's a minute and 12 seconds left or something that we know we're going to lose the match. And little Carter Donaldson, I say little because he's short, but he's 22, 23 years old. He's standing in front of me and he starts sobbing. right? He
Oh,
knew we're gonna lose, and he's just like I can't believe we're about to lose another Sunday match, and he starts sobbing. And the amount of energy that gave me to win that point has never been matched. And I've been doing it for 20 years now, which is less compared to a lot of people that are playing a pro, but it hasn't been matched. And we won that point in 10 seconds. And I was running gunning with my barrel basically tripod on his top of his head as he's running gunning underneath me, and we running gun down the whole side and win the point within 8 seconds, 9 seconds. But just to see how much it meant to him, right? That was a
yeah.
huge memory. I have a few more of those, but like that's the most recent one, and that one really sticks and shows how much he cares and how much it really means to the guys that are on that field.
That's a great one. Who would you say is your favorite player? It doesn't have to be a teammate. Actually,
Oof.
let's do this, Kyle. Tell me your favorite player, like that person, and then I also want to hear who your favorite person to watch is.
Oh, okay. So those are two really good questions. So favorite player, um, it's got to be Ollie. I've never talked to him
Yeah.
in person. I've never had a one-on-one conversation with Ollie ever, but I've studied him like a nerd, right? I've studied him like a nerd nonstop, to try to understand how he develops that motivation in players, how he plays the structure, how he always finds the timing and the advantages, and just watching him as a player, not so much for his playing style, but it was the way that he communicated to his team and motivated his team was what really got me super excited. That's why I absolutely loved watching every part of it, right?
Yeah.
And then that would be favorite player to watch. What was the second question?
Just who your favorite player is or teammate.
Oh, my favorite player slash teammate will be Carter Donaldson, the kid I mentioned previously. He has been playing paintball for 4 years. He
Hmm.
has, like in total, I think he's at 5 years now. Um, he has an incredibly athletic mindset. He came from the DPL program that I brought up previously, right? So the Developmental Paintball program in Southwest Florida, he came from that. So I've seen him at literally division nothing, right? So brought him from
Yeah.
nothing. And I truly believe he will be the next superstar in the sport if the cards lay out correctly and he doesn't stop playing the game, right? You know,
Got to keep going.
got to keep going. It's a hard fight between him and Connor Kelly, right? Connor Kelly has been my kid these last 2 years, and I've really trained him up to where he is, and now he's got the Heat offer, which is freaking huge. Super excited for him.
Yeah.
But I told him he was going to get that Heat offer when I picked him up at the beginning of last year, right? And for me, it was obvious he just needed the right direction and the right expectation put on top of him for him to really become an excellent player. So it was just a matter of time. Carter Donaldson, I think, is the type of player because of his size, his athletic mindset, and the way he sees the professionalism, the way it should be in the sport, I think could really change this sport. Because for my mind, I'm looking for the Michael Jordan, right? I'm looking
Yeah.
for the kid that's going to change the sport like Michael did to basketball, and I'm constantly looking for him.
Who do you think? Do you think anybody that's coming up fits that bill right now that's not pro?
Oh, that's a really good question because it's a personal aspect that makes you Michael or Kobe, right? The
Yeah.
playing ability can be developed by anybody, right? But
Sure. Yeah.
to get that playing ability to that level, you have to initially have the mindset, aka I'm practicing before the event, after the event. I don't miss days. I don't miss weekends. I don't take weekends off. Weekends are not enough. I'm practicing Monday through Friday, right? The mindset of like, if anybody else talked to Kobe or watched Kobe interviews, they all say he's crazy. He wasn't crazy. He was the best, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference in paintball is that a lot of people, when we get like, I've been practicing a lot with the Red Legion down here in Florida, and their style of play or their expectations of how much they should play is crazy in some people's eyes. Seems
Mm-hmm.
normal to me, right? What I'm looking for is a player like Carter, right, to be able to get the opportunity to make enough money from paintball where he can give 110%. And maybe there is a divisional kid that's already in that situation, but it really depends on how serious you take it, right? Because this sport itself isn't going to force you to be Kobe, right? We need or
Right.
be a Michael Jordan. We need someone to be that Michael Jordan to change the perception of the sport. So the next players, that's just status quo.
They need to be self-motivated.
Yeah, they need to be. Yeah, because there's not enough money to be motivated by the sport, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And then those type of players create what's called the Bannister effect. Did you watch Rocky's interview by any chance?
Not all of it,
Rocky.
but I've started.
So Rocky became famous in the documentary Push by diving over the snake and bunkering Davey out. And that created what's called the banister effect, which is something, it's psychological, that you don't know something can be done until you see it done.
Quarter
So
mile.
you know the banister effect.
Yes. I didn't know it was called the banister effect, but that is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't know that
Yeah.
that was the definition of it.
Yeah. So it's like, you get these players that believe in that and push the envelope to achieve something greater and change the face of the game, because they do something that people think is impossible, and then people start doing it.
Like diving over lanes, man. I've been saying this for 2 years. You got to be able to dive over lanes. Nobody wants to do it. The kids look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, dude, I'm 200 pounds. I'm going to break another rib. But you're 100 pounds. You can make it
Yeah.
over the damn lane. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but thank you. You just taught me something. It's like banister effect. I'll be using that for the rest of my life.
There you go. So Kyle, do you have a, I know you're a paintball nerd, so you got to have something in your paintball closet or your gear bag that you cherish, that's like your favorite item. What is it?
Oh, my Bunker King headband. My 2001 white snow leopard Bunker King headband that was given to Harris Hussein by Alex Longquist, and Harris gave it to me when I got onto the New York Extreme team. It is not being worn anymore because I've worn it out to nothingness. The terry cloth on the inside is now, I think, completely disintegrated. Like, it's just fallen apart, but it does sit in my gear bag and flies with me anywhere as I go. Right. It doesn't leave. Yeah. It doesn't leave the gear bag.
Well, it's been playing paintball longer than you have.
Yeah. It's been, honestly, it's super funny because I'll pull that out with Charlie Gibbons, and Charlie will pull his out, and he's just like, I'm pretty sure these are older than you. And I'm like, close. Yeah, it's getting close.
So Kyle, share with us, what does it take to get to your level, man? You went from 2002 chubby kid getting ripped up in the back to professional player, developing other paintball players. How do you get there?
It's honestly, I feel like the first step, because I've had this question a bunch, right? And there's a million different ways to answer, but I think the first step is expectations, right? If your expectations of what professional paintball is lackluster, if it's not really how hard this game actually is, because pro paintball is not easy, right? The reason that we have people like Ryan Greenspan doing it after 20 years and still playing pro is because everyone else has been putting their expectations lower and their dedication level lower, while he has been striving at the same level for years and years and years. So until they understand how dedicated Ryan was 10 years ago or 12 years ago, where Ryan saw that this sport could be a multi-million-dollar sport, that he should try really hard, that he could practice 7 days a week, so on and so forth. He has now had to fall off of that over the years because it never hit that epitome, but he still pushed himself to that level of expectation and that level of dedication. So I think the first aspect is to understand that if you want to be a professional paintball player, you want to be a professional athlete. And if you do not act as if a professional athlete, you're never going to get there. Once that's settled in your mind, it's like, okay, my expectation is to be a professional athlete. Now, what are the goals and the actual strives that I should go towards to be that level of athlete? The Red Legion have an incredible program. I've been working on this for like about 6-7 years to how to train kids correctly, and they blow my program out of the water. Kirill has everything labeled, structured, leveled out from level 6, which is like a D6 guys, to a level 1, which is pro, how to move players from step by step. It's incredible how much detail he has. And he's really thought about it because, like you and I, he's a paintball nerd, right? So he's like really dove into it and got granular with it. But the first is the expectations. The second is the qualification of where I'm at and what I need to do to get to that level of professionalism. Then it really comes down to execution of drills, right? Playing points like a rec ball kid is not going to lead you to being a professional paintball player, right? It just isn't the same way anymore. The expectations of how well you're supposed to hit your shot, how quick you're supposed to move, your opportunities and how small those are will not be found playing D5 kids and D4 kids and D3 kids at practice. It doesn't exist, right? It has to come from your understanding and expectation in your head and then executing that in a drill format. It's the only way to really push yourself to that limit. And then once you have that, I always believe there's an interview with Ty Lopez that I've quoted for the last 10 years. I'm not the biggest fan of Ty Lopez, but it's a great interview. He talks about the one defining difference between successful and unsuccessful business people. And the one factor is conscientiousness. And conscientiousness is broken down into 4 subfacets. And I believe these 4 are everything. right? Everything from becoming a professional paintball player to being good in business, everything. They are diligence or hard work, right? Organization, perfectionism, which perfectionism is overused, the bad term nowadays, but just really means double checking your work. And the last one is prudence. And prudence means the ability to make the right decision. So
Mm,
you can work hard, you can be organized, you can even double check your work. But if you're doing all that and your snapping form is off, or you're learning to snap and you don't know why you're supposed to snap, you don't have the prudence or understanding of how to use what you've learned, and it doesn't go anywhere. So those four
mm.
core aspects is how I truly believe you become a professional at anything.
Awesome. Wisdom right there, Kyle.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
So, Kyle, what would you say that you're most thankful for that paintball's given you?
Oh, confidence, right?
Mm.
13 years old, 220 pounds, frosted tip with glasses. I was, I was not in a good spot, right? And for some reason, the fact that it was a guy with a gun versus a guy with a gun, and like it didn't
Mm.
matter if you were taller, it didn't matter if you were faster. My cousin RJ, rest in peace, is who I started the game with, and he was an athletic phenom, right? He was diving into the snake, he was amazing, and I was riding the bench and paying $800 a tournament to fill pots, right? So there was
Jeez.
a vast difference between the two of him and I. But I beat him one time and I realized like it doesn't matter how fast he is. I outsmarted him with this gun. And that lit a match in my head that really just me in a position where it doesn't matter if I suck at marketing and advertising like what I do now. If I just keep pushing at it, I'll find my level of success. And I've taken that lesson from paintball to everything I do in my life. So the confidence that paintball has given me, that it doesn't matter if it hurts, it doesn't matter if you suck at it, doesn't matter if people laugh at you at it. If you believe you have an opportunity and you have a chance to be successful and you strive, you push, you have your dedication, you're organized, and you really go after it, you will find a level of success. And I found a level of professionalism, which is, I got laughed at my entire childhood. Like, you'll never go pro in paintball. You don't even know that exists. And now I use that aspect to push myself to grow. Like, I have an agency now, a marketing agency with 20 employees, right? Like, I would never have the confidence to train people or go out there and sell if it wasn't for paintball.
Changed your life.
Yeah, 100% through and through. Changed, and it keeps on changing my life. It keeps on changing my life for the better and the better and the better, right? Today, even if I look at it today, I make amazing connections in business and outside of business through paintball, and it gives me an
Mm.
opportunity to really be able to give back, right? Because without understanding of how to get better, it's really difficult to go practice paintball. Like, you just don't know
Yeah.
what to do, right? So I can take people that are in paintball that are business oriented, and I can just sit them down and be like, hey man, I sucked so bad at this that this is the stuff you should avoid, right? So just, this, and this, you avoid this, and this is the right way that I've learned after all these years of getting shot and studying all the pros. Nine times out of 10, if anybody's ever been in my clinic, I never say this is my drill. It's like, here's a Jason drill, here's an NYX drill, here's a Jacob drill, here's a Kirill drill. I'm just such a nerd. I'm just stealing from everybody. I watch enough paintball where it's like, all right, this one looks good, that one looks good, and this one looks good. And it's just correlating that information. So confidence is the answer to your question. And that confidence has led me to really become something that I appreciate being every single day of my life.
Awesome. Yeah, it's who you are today. Kyle, thank you so much for your time here, man. Is there anything that you want to part with for the paintball community?
Yeah, 100%. So this weekend, we have a pro camp at Tiki's Paintball down here in the state of Florida. Okay. This is a small aspect that shows that the whole state of Florida is trying to come together to give back to the local community. And next weekend is the biggest opportunity for anybody in Florida, Georgia, anywhere is in the southeast area. The ML Kings have partnered with the Red Legion, and we are going to do a combined tryout. I don't know if this has ever happened in pro paintball, but it's two professional paintball teams having a tryout together at Tiki's Paintball January 14th and 15th. Anybody in the state of Florida that is looking for a team, we will also have the Tiki's Factory team that will play the local MVPSs that will include D3, D4, D5, and D6. So in one weekend, you'll have the opportunity to be judged by the ML Kings, judged by the Russian Legion, give a full synapse of where you stand and what you should improve this offseason to really strive to be professional. and an opportunity to find your team. If that's pro, if that's a divisional team, whatever it might be. And no matter what team you fall on, if you're at Tiki's this year, you will be trained by both Kirill, the Red Legion, and myself and all the ML Kings to support you throughout this and really give that prudence back that we were talking about.
Awesome, dude. Thank you, Kyle.
No problem, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate being on here. I appreciate what you're doing for the paintball community. You're putting out freaking awesome content, dude. I love it.